here I am, Jesus. All I have is your word. Show yourself to be God. I know you won't let me down. Oh, Jehovah Jireh. I won't stop believing. Won't stop believing. Jehovah Jireh. I promise I won't stop believing. I'm gonna release it for somebody else. God, I feel it now. Preparing me for my next move. My faith is being tested. Oh, but I know you will. You shall. You got to come through. Just like you did for Abraham. Lord, I need you to show me a sign. So today I challenge heaven, 'cause I feel in the spirit it's manifestation time. So here I am, Jesus. All I have is your word. Show yourself to be God. I know you won't let me down. Yeah. Somebody wave your hand and say, I won't stop. You want to lift your voice and shout. I promise I won't stop believing. 'Cause I've seen you do it over and over again. Oh yeah, oh Lord, I won't stop believing. Can I tell me, Jehovah Jireh? I won't stop believing. I came to tell you that this is what I believe. That the same God who raised Lazarus from the dead, yes, the same God who caused Jehoshaphat and his army to triumph. The same God who delivered the 3 Hebrew boys, the same God. Will he come through for me? How long will he show me that he's still God? He watches over his word to perform. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, he does. I'm reminded of Abraham, when all he had was God's word carrying him. And even when it hurted him the most, he still had faith in his God to lift his voice and declare. Somebody declare, the Lord, he will provide. I never seen the righteous forsaken. He's seen that the bread he will
good morning, good morning, Facebook Live. Good morning, YouTube. With Orlando keeping it simple. How's everybody doing this morning? I hope everyone is well. I hope everything is going great for you all. I hope everything is going great. I hope the Most High have blessed you and your offspring with wisdom and knowledge and understanding. I hope that He has really truly blessed you in the ways in which your heart desires. I hope that He has blessed your offspring is in the ways in which your heart desires. He has given them wisdom and knowledge and understanding. I hope your week has been a great week. I hope that um, everything your heart desires you have gotten. I really do. My week has been horrible. I can honestly, truly say that. But it's been good, but it's been horrible because life experiences is something. It's been good, but it's been horrible. It's been emotionally, not physically horrible, but spiritually horrible. But I can't say it's horrible in a negative way. It's horrible. It's just the things that you go through in life. Um, you know, I just experienced a lot. Like this week, right? I have just started back going to therapy. And when I went back to therapy this week, and I've been in therapy for like the last 10, 11 years. And it's been great. And if anybody haven't been in therapy, I suggest that you go. I said because therapy is good. It keeps you responsible. It helps you work out your problems. Um, it helps you work out questions that you have inside of you. It helps you out more than you can imagine. And I asked my therapist this week when I went, I said, what is the responsibilities of a man? And then he gave me a long list of things that he said the responsibilities of a man is supposed to be. And I was like, wow. And because I've been having challenges with that, because sometimes I could forget, or sometimes I don't want to be out of line, and sometimes I want to make sure that I'm in place as being a man. Um, because you you give God, the Bible give you a guideline on how to be, but not specifically how to be. And men struggle these days because let's just be honest, black men in the black community is looked at as being the bottom of the totem pole. They're not. They're 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 being used as pawns in society. Very few people honor black men. So black men struggle with a lot of different things because of how society has used us or has treated us. So we struggle with that internally and externally, but it's a quiet stigma because don't nobody ever want to talk about it because we put on this face as if we're this strong macho type of person. But in actuality, we have issues and problems that we go through in life every day. We take things at work that we don't want to really take. We go through things in society that we really don't want to go through. We sometimes try to protect our own families, and when we try to protect them, the police come and shoot us and kill us, or whatever the case may be. So it's a lot of things internally that men go through that don't nobody really want to talk about. So when I was at therapy this week, I was asking those questions because of the responsibilities of a black man. It's like the list is this long. And it's a struggle because a lot of black men didn't have black fathers in the household. So in actuality, they don't know how to be. And they're only going to be the way they was raised to be or what they saw in their household. So sometimes, and how society projects it on us on how we should be. And the reason why you see a lot of older black men at 35 and above, if you're 35 and above and you're still wearing your pants below your belt, that means the society has told you how to dress and not your father. So if you look at women today, and they dress in a not in a haughty way, and they're doing things in a way that is inappropriate for society, inappropriate for a woman, society has raised that woman on how she shouldn't be and not her mother. So when you're looking at life and you're looking at responsibilities and you're looking at your purpose and your mission, each individual person has a list this long, but are they able to do or perform the mission? And are they taking on too much or too little? And that is what I was dealing with this week because, you know, it's difficult these days to deal with society. And it's difficult to deal with, and I'm gonna tell you why in a little while. It's difficult to deal with society and people because of the spirit that is on the earth, and um just difficult because that's just the way it is. But I'll tell you in a few minutes why. Because it's just so much that we have to deal with and don't really want to deal with it because of how this media, how these other people have told us how we should be in actuality, not how we should really be. You know, um, you should not allow your oppressors to be your major influencers. You should never allow your oppressors to be your major influencers. You should never allow somebody who has ran you down, talked about you, and disgraced you be the same people who influences you. Or they shouldn't even be able to give you advice or an opinion about anything because they have not treated you in a manner in which that was godly like. So but if you look at our society today, 99% of African American people influencers are the same people who have oppressed them for the last 400 years. And that's like a oxymoron, or that is like ludicrous because how can you allow the same people who oppressed you and told you was nothing then turn around and tell you how to be when they don't have no godly characteristics at all? So that's something we got to deal with. That's something that we have to face in reality. And that's what I've been dealing with, is because everybody rearings are different, and that's how they're going to take on life. That's how they're going to live. Their life is somewhat from their rearings, or they're growing up from their parents. So I'm just dealing with that this week, and it's a lot of hidden stigmas in black men's thought process, in our viewpoints, in us as men, because we're some of the most trodden down people on the earth. We have built the whole world. Everything have come off the backs of the whole of black men, but we don't get any credit for it. Even if it comes from slavery, if it comes from sports, if it comes from incarceration, if it comes from child support, if it comes from labor on the job, black men have been the builders of this country, of this earth. Even when it comes down to the pyramids in Egypt, even when there was the pyramids here in the Turtle Island of Mexico, the Americas, we built this stuff. But we are the ones that are talked about the most in a negative way. And it affects black men, but don't nobody really want to talk about it. But this is just an encouraging message today because, you know, it's just what it is. We got to deal with it. And the guy told me this week, he said, man, I'm never going to allow anybody to disrupt my peace. And we as people, we have to get into a place of peace. Whether it's men and women and children, we got to get into a safe place of peace. We got to get into that place because that's where our salvation lies. But I'm going to go ahead and go. Let us go to Exodus chapter 20, verse 1 through 17. And let us read. And God spake all these things, saying, I am Yahuwah thy El, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, and thou shalt have no other Els before me. And thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. And thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and show mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy El in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah thy El. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy sons, nor thy daughters, thy manservants, nor thy maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore if Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it, honor thy fathers and thy mothers, that thy days be long upon the land which Yahuwah thy El giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbors, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So let us pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine to your kingdom, power to your glory forever and ever. So let it be. Amen. Good morning again. Good morning again. Let me tell you a book I'm trying to study and read a little bit to get an understanding of Yahshua the HaMashiach. This book right here called Jesus and the Eyewitnesses. Jesus and the Eyewitnesses. I'm reading this book and I'm trying to do some comparisons to how Jesus is taught and how he actually was in Scripture. Because how he was in Scripture is completely different than how he was taught. Jesus was never was the character. Jesus, the character, was never the way he was taught how he was in the Christian church. Jesus was never that type, or Yahshua the HaMashiach was never that type of person on how the Christian church has told people he was. And that's why Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is very important for you to really sit down and really study Jesus the character, Jesus the El, or Jesus the Messiah, or Jesus the Word, in order for you to understand him, because there's a lot of contradictories in Jesus and how they say he was in Scriptures. And that's what I'm doing. I'm sitting down trying to read this to be able to understand the teachings of Jesus from the Christian perspective and the actual Jesus out of Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. And the reason why I say that, because I'm just going to read you one verse out of John chapter 2, verse 24. I'm going to also read you another one. I read you two, and then I'm going to go ahead and get started with the text. In John chapter 2, verse 24. it says, but Jesus did not commit himself unto them, because he knew all men, and needed not that any should testify of man, for he knew what was in man. What it's saying is that Jesus entrusted people on the earth. Jesus had a hard time. Jesus had a hard time dealing with the people that was on the earth and he was encountering. He didn't trust them. He didn't trust the people because he knew they were some jacked up people. That's why he said, my people are like sheep without a shepherd. Because he understood they was very ignorant. And sometimes you cannot really trust ignorant people, because they're gonna make bad decisions, and they're gonna do things that's not cool. So Jesus understood the audience and the people he was trying to talk to. So he did not trust them because the mentality or the state that they was in. But the church don't teach that. And because the church don't teach it, people have a misconception of how Jesus or Yahshua HaMashiach really was. Okay? So that's something we really got to, and I'm going to say this to you. Please. And I don't never say please. I hardly ever say please. Because Yahshua HaMashiach or Jesus said never say please. So if he didn't tell you to say please to him, so why should I say please to you? If Jesus never said tell me please, he just said ask in my Father's name. So if Jesus said ask in my Father's name, and whatever I ask in his Father's name, he will give it to me. He never said say please to me. So why should I say please to you? But I'm going to say please to you in this state. Start reading the word for yourself. Start depending on somebody else to teach you the word, because when you allow somebody else to teach you the word, they're only going to teach it to you from the viewpoint that they want you to understand. Not in the totality of Scripture. They're only going to teach you from their viewpoint in the way that they want you to teach. They want you to learn. Understand that. Because they have to slant it in a way that justifies their actions. They have to slant it in a way that justifies their actions. So if you don't study the word for yourself, you're only going to get a slanted viewpoint of the story. Just like the Christian church is only giving you a slanted story of Jesus. And you got to understand why they're giving you a slanted story. Why they're teaching you this way. And if you don't understand the objective of the teacher, you're going to miss the whole point. You got to ask the question, what's your angle? Why are you teaching us this way? And if you don't really dissect that, you're going to be totally misled. So let us go to Matthew's. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 10. Let us go to the book of Matthew, chapter 10. Verse 34 through 38. And I've read this verse a lot. And I understood the verse because I read it and I understand it. But I had to put it into the proper context now to be able to understand it in its totality, in its complete, his wholeness. I understand it. But I'm going to read it and I'm going to give you the title. I'm going to give you some words. And then I'm going to tell you why I understand it in its totality now. Okay, Matthew chapter 10, verse 34 through 38, the key verse. is verse number 38. The key verse is verse 38. And the whole thing reads, it says, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean by a sword in a few minutes. It says, I am come to set a man at variance against his house, his father, and a daughter against the mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's fowl shall be they of his own household. He that loveth his father or mother more than he loved me is not worthy of me. And listen to that. That sounds very selfish, but listen to it. It says, he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Listen to that. And he that taketh not his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. And he that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that lose his life for my sake shall find it. And the key verse again is verse 38, and it says, he that taketh not his own cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. And the title of the text today is, it is never about you. It's never about you. It is never about you. Understand what I was saying today when I was talking about me going to my therapist and asking him, what is the father's responsibilities? And when he gave me what he thought the the responsibilities of a father, it was never about the father. What my responsibilities was never pertaining to me. Whenever you look at your life and you look at whatever you got going on in you, it's never, or whatever you got going around you is never about you. It's about everything else around you. And that is the hardest part to realize. It's never about you. It's never, 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 never about you. Never about you. The words today is mission. Mission. A sending or being sent. A mission is a person who's sending, or a person who's being sent to do something. Usually the word mission is a 1590 century word. That's when it was established. It says, usually the latter a being sent or delegate by authorities with a certain power for transactioning businesses. Act of sending or a dispatch or release. A mission is a person who has been given an assignment with certain abilities and authorities to accomplish a mission, a purpose. That's what basically a mission is. And response. Response is an answer or reply to your mission. The answer of the people or congregation to the priest. The priest has been sent on a mission to teach the congregation. And the response from the congregation to the priest is very vital. But the priest has to understand that his mission is never about him. It is always about the congregation and the people. And that's why I say you have to really study for yourself, because if you don't study for yourself and you deal with these people, they're going to give you a slanted view because of their predicament, their situation. And they don't want you to know the totality, because everybody got a thorn in their side. Everybody got some issues going on. Everybody has some faults in their life, and they don't want everybody to see their faults or see that, yeah, I made some mistakes, but now I can't go back and change this mistake because If I change this mistake, it'll be detrimental not just to my household, but to the people around me. Okay? But what made me understand this verse, this chapter a whole lot is verse 1. Verse 1. And it reads, and it says, when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power listen to that. He gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out, to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. At this point, Jesus the Christ, or Yahshua the HaMashiach, was talking to his 12 disciples, and he has given them power to be able to go on this mission to do the things that they needed to do, to be able to heal, to be able to cast out demons, to be able to do the same identical thing that Yahshua the HaMashiach, or Jesus Christ, did. He gave them the same abilities and the same power on their missions to do the same identical thing. And Jesus was talking to his disciples, and he was telling them everything that was going to take place with them, as well as at the same thing that he went through as a messenger, as El on earth, they're going to go through as disciples on earth. And that is one of the hardest things about life, is when you're on your mission and you're on your purpose in life, you're going to go through some stuff. You're going to go through some ups. You're going to go through some downs. You're going to go through some conflicts. You're going to go through things in life. You're going to go through some hardships. You're going to go through some turmoils. Because you have to look at, right? And if we closely analyze Yahshua the HaMashiach, or Jesus the Christ's life, he was betrayed by his own family. He was betrayed by his own kinfolks. He was betrayed by the people who he was sent to help. He was betrayed by them same people. Listen to this. This is talking about Jesus in Matthew chapter 1, verse 21. And it says, and she shall bring, talking about Miriam, which is Mary, Jesus' mother. It says, and she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins. Who was Jesus sent to is when you go to Matthew chapter 15, Matthew 15, chapter 24, it says, but Jesus answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So when we start to look at Jesus' life, we understand that he was sent only to the house of Israel. He was supposed to die for the children of Israel. But let's look at the relationship that he had with the children of Israel. The relationship that he had with the children of Israel was very chaotic, because they was very ignorant, they were very dumb, they was walking in darkness because they did not know scriptures. And because they didn't know scriptures, they was walking in darkness. Because if they knew the truth, they would understand that the prophets is being fulfilled through Jesus the Christ, Yahshua the HaMashiach. But they was walking in darkness. That's why they did not. That's why he was not able to heal as many people as he wanted to heal in his own homeland of Nazareth, because they did not believe him. They did not trust him. They did not have anything to. They didn't want to have anything to do with him. They didn't want to. They didn't want to believe him. So that's why he. That's why he felt sad when he left Nazareth, because he wasn't able to heal as many people as he wanted to heal. And it was because of their ignorance, their dumbness, they're walking in darkness. It wasn't because of him. It was because of them. It was because of where they was at in life when it come down to their mentality or their theology or their thinking or their studying of the word. It wasn't because of him and his mission. He was doing his mission. It's just the response that he was getting on his mission was more negative than positive. So when we look at Jesus was not able to heal as many people in his own hometown of Nazareth, he had to leave. He had to leave Nazareth. And then when he went to the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the priests and the apostles, and he was trying to talk to them and teach them and help them, they wouldn't believe him either. He was even going. He was. They didn't believe him either. They the one who had him killed. They had him killed because they didn't believe him, because they wanted to continue to stay in the authoritarian position that they was in. That they was upset because he had more influence over the people than they did. If you read scripture and you study scripture, you will never see that the apostles, the priests, the Sadducees, the Pharisees, they didn't do nothing but try to hinder Jesus from doing what he supposed to be doing. They didn't do no healing. They didn't do no teaching. They didn't do any of it. The only thing that they was doing, there was a hindrance in Jesus' mission. There was a hindrance. They was in the way more so than helping him and say, okay, we see what you're doing is righteous and we want to be on board with you. But no, they didn't do that. They said, we're going to be a hindrance to you. They're going to set out plans to kill you, because what we see is that you're trying to take away power from us and you trying to keep that power. And that's why I say to you, you got to be very careful who you listen to, because people are doing this for the influence to keep people under their control and not up under the control of the Bible. So when the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the priests and the apostles, they was hating on Jesus. But he understood his mission. He understood that the responses that he understood that. It totally. But it did not stop him from doing it. Even when he came to the crowd and he was healing the people, he was doing all these things for the people. He was trying to enlighten them. He was helping them be healed, to become whole. They still crucified him. They were listening to the wrong people. Because they were listening to the wrong people. They were listening to people who had a slant on teachings. So they caused the people who Jesus came to save to crucify him at the stakes. The Roman Empire didn't really make the decisions to kill Yahshua the HaMashiach. The people and the Pharisees made the decision that caused Yahshua the HaMashiach to die. They the one who caused him to die on the stake. But he still had to come and understand the response that he was going to get. See, the harder part about life is understanding your mission. Whether you're a wife, whether you're a daughter, whether you're a husband, whether you're a son, whether you're a brother or sister or whatever it is, whatever the Most High has called you on your purpose, you got to understand that. And you got to understand sometimes you're going to get some responses not healthy to you. It's not going to be what you expected for it to be. And you really cannot take it personal that the responses are not the way that you want them to be. Because you got to remember only a third of people are going to make it. So whatever it is, whatever your mission is in life, you got to understand the responses. You got to understand where you got to understand where people are at. Understand that, and a lot of the times we don't look at the environment, the spiritual environment that we're in. We don't understand it because it's too deep. It's too much. Because we so tunnel vision that we can't see. And because we can't see where people at, we definitely can't see where we're at. See the struggles that we have on the inside of us, because sometimes we're more focused on what's going on the outside more so than what's going on with us. So that's why Jesus said when he gave them power, that means the same abilities that he had, but he was trying to also tell them that the same abilities that I had, and the same experience that I went through, you're going to go through. It says in verse 26, it says, in Matthew chapter 10, it says, fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. For I tell you in darkness that speak what ye hear in the ear that preach upon the housetop, and fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Okay, up a little bit. Okay, it says in verse 16, it says, behold, I send you forth as sheep. Listen, because Jesus understands the audience, he understands the people, he understands the responses that they're going to get. Listen to it. He said, I send you forth as sheep in of wolves. He said, you people that is unhealthy for you. Wolves only kill sheep for dinner. They're only using the sheep as appetites. The wolves are eating sheep as meals. It says, be ye therefore wise and harmless as doves, but be aware of men, for they will deliver you up to the council, and they will scourge you in their synagogues, and ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak. Listen to this. Now listen to the next verse. For it shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak. Listen to this. For it is in not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speak in you. So Jesus was saying, Yahshua HaMashiach was saying, man, you finna get ready to go through some issues. You're going to get ready to go through some problems. You're going to go through it. But you're not going through it for your sake. You're going through it for my sake. Everything with your faith and your belief. Everything that you're going through is because of what you believe, your mission. And be careful how you respond. So when we go down to verse 34, division. It's division. It's going to be the division. It's going to be division on the earth. Okay, and it says in verse 34, it says, think not to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. The word sword means fight or war. That's what the word sword means. It means fight or war, fighting or warring against each other. But the hard part about people is that because they don't read scripture, and because they're not they're not aware of the word. That's why wars continue to happen. That's why you got strife in households. That's why my friend said to me, whatever I got to do to protect my peace, I'm going to do to protect my peace. Because he understands that it's a lot of problems. It's a lot of division. See, fighting brings on division. It brings on destruction. It brings on chaos. It brings on commotions. It brings on commotions. And let us go to Acts chapter 14, verse 4. I understand this verse a little bit better. Acts chapter 13, verse 3 and 4. Acts chapter 14, verse 3 and 4. Because to understand, what do you mean by sword? What do you mean by this verse? It's a long time, therefore abide they speaking boldly in the Lord, which unto the word of his grace, and granted signs and wonders to be done by his hands. Listen to this one. But the multitudes of the city was divided, and part held with the Jews and part with the apostles. And when there was an assault made both of the Gentiles and also of the Jews with their rulers to use them despitefully and to stone them. That it's going to be a sword. It's going to be arguments and chaos. It's going to be division. It's going to be people that want to fight in this world. It's leadership is religious leaders going against religious leaders instead of sitting down and saying, hey, work together and see what we can come up with so we can be on one accord. They're not doing that. They're going against each other right now. They're fighting amongst each other right now. They really are. Let's go to Luke chapter 12. Because I want you to understand something. When it says sword, it means division. It'll be divided. People will be in conflict, ready to each other. Okay, Luke chapter 12, verse 49 through 53. And see, the hardest part about life is trying to stay at peace with the people you're around because you know what's going on in the world. The hardest part about life is saying, how can I maneuver in this place so that I can stay on my journey and I can continue to stay sane? That's the hardest part about life. Luke chapter 12, verse 49 through 50. I am come to send fire on the earth. Listen to that. My wife was telling me yesterday that California is burning up. The northern part of California is burning up. Then it says, what will I, if it be already kindled? But I have baptism to be baptized with. And how am I straitened till it be accomplished? Jesus said, Yahshua said, I got to accomplish this mission regardless of whatever it is. It says, suppose ye come to give peace on earth. Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth. But that's what the Christian church tell you, that Jesus is coming to save the whole world. And it says, I tell you, nay, the division. But rather division. Okay, and it says, for from henceforth there shall be 5 in one house divided. 5 in one house divided. 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. The father will be divided against the son, and the son against the father, the mother against the daughter against the mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, against her mother-in-law. And it didn't even say mother against the father. Because it's happening too. See, when the Most High put you on this, when the Most High put you on this journey, and you understand things, and you understand your mission. But you also got to understand you got to understand the responses that you're going to get. And that's what I was dealing with this week, is trying to understand how to respond with my totality. How to interact with everything that's going on around me. And the question is, how you going to react with everything going on around you? How are you going to? Are you going to continue to stay on your mission, whether you're a mother, father, whether you a sister, whether you're a daughter, whatever your situation is? Are you going to stay on that purpose? Or are you going to let it derail you? Because it's complicated. It's not simple. It's not a simple thing, because you're dealing with spirits that's around you. So how are you going to deal with all that you're dealing with? Are you going to stay on your mission, or do you want to run and bail? Because I just want to get my stuff and run, because the mission is very difficult. You may not be going through physical persecution, but you can be going through a lot of spiritual persecution, because spiritual persecution is draining. It's hard. Understand me when I ask them, give me some good news. What I'm going through, they just think I be talking just to be talking. But when I ask people, give me something good, it's because I may be going through some spiritual stuff, and I need some help. I need some encouraging words. But people don't realize that. They just think I just be talking just to be talking. But man, I be needing it because of what I be going through spiritually. That's why I try to give them encouraging word, because, man, people need that to stay on their journey, their mission. I gotta go work out every day. I try to like his stuff because I want him to continue to stay on his journey of working out. It's not easy at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting yourself together to go to work out for an hour, work for 10 to 12 hours a day, and then do it 5 days a week. That's not easy. And for you to be able to just give a man a like or encourage him and say, hey man, continue doing what you're doing, that motivates him. It's hard for you. It's easy for you to discourage somebody on their mission, but when you see somebody trying to do something positive in life, it's easy to just, hey, keep doing it. I'm not going to be a hindrance to you. People don't understand that. A lot of people want a hindrance or a naysayer, a backbiter, a backstabber. And that journey is hard within itself, because he got so many inner demons that he got to deal with. But we choose to hinder the mission because got going on. We don't want to like it because of whatever we got going on within us. But it's only doing is testing you on where you at spiritually. It's easy to be a hater, but it's hard to be a motivator. It's easy to know somebody to be a backbiter and talk about people, but it's hard to know what it's doing is taking the power off you and it getting it to somebody else. But no, we want to have all the power. We want to shine. We look good. Not thinking about nobody else. Matthew chapter 10, verse 35. Yeah, he said, I'm going to bring some division. Bring it. Because what he's doing is those people who's been called on the mission, see if they're going to stay on the mission. And that's hard. That's why I say you got to just tell people you and encourage those people who speaking life into you. Just like I texted God this morning, I told him thank him for telling me what he told me because I needed it. But he didn't understand why I needed it. But I just told him. Verse 35 and 36 are a combination. What is the division? This is an example of the division that's going to be brought. This is the division. For I am going to set a man at variance against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man foe, a man problems, a man strife shall be they of his own household. Now I understand why a lot of pastors' kids are jacked up. I understand why they jacked up, because their kids are jacked up because that person has to continue to stay on the mission. And that pastor have to continue to stay focused. A lot of pastors' households are jacked up as if it looks good, but in actuality, you go behind closed doors, you'll be surprised what you see. It's just to see if you're going to continue to stay on that mission. Even though your house is chaotic, even though everything is going on with you, are you going to continue to stay on your Father's business? Are you going to continue to do your Father's business? Because look at everything going on with Jesus' life. Look at everything that was going on with Jesus' life. He was being backstabbed, betrayed, lied to, hated on, wanted to be killed, but he still stayed. He still stayed on the mission. He did not let anything derail him from doing what he had to do. And that's a hard thing to do when you are physically and emotionally attached to people. (34 and 35) is yes, he's going to bring division. How? Wars and fighting with. Let's go to Micah chapter 7. I'm going to read Micah chapter 7, 1 through maybe 6, 7. It says, woe is me, for I am as when they have gathered the summer fruits. Listen, this is comparison. As the grape gleaning of the vintage, there's no clusters to eat. My soul desires the first ripe fruit. He said, my soul is yearning for some goodness. They got me together now, but my soul on the inside of me, I'm yearning for some goodness. He said, the good man is perished out of the earth. Listen to that. The good man is perished, none upright among men. Listen to that. There's none upright among men. They all lie and wait for blood. They all lie and wait for blood. They hunt every man his brother with a net. There's chaos and commotion out here today. How many armed robbers you see? How much violence you see on the earth? Not just from the police, but it's between brothers and sisters. How much violence you see on the earth. He said that they may do evil with both hands earnestly. And the judge asked for a reward. And the great man, he utters his mischievous desires. What that say? It says, and the great man, he utters his mischievous desire. So they wrap up the best of them as a briar. The most upright is sharper than a thorn hedge. The day of thy watchman and thy visitation cometh. Shall be their perplexity. Trust ye not in a friend. Put ye confidence in a guide. Keep the doors of thy mouth from her that lieth in thy bosom. Don't tell your wife everything. There's even in depth telling you that your whole household gonna be jacked up. For the son dishonors the father, the daughters rise up against her mother, the daughters-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are the men of his own house. Therefore, when I look, I'm gonna come back to that one. Understanding that, man, everything gonna be in chaos. But if you're not aware, you're going to continue to participate in it. If you don't understand the spirit that's on the earth today, you're going to participate in it. You're going to be one that do whatever that is. You're going to do that whatever it may be. If you're a daughter, you're going to go against your mother or your father. You're going to go against your mother or your father. If you're a wife, you're going to go against your husband. If you're a husband, you're going to go against your wife. Because you don't understand what's actually taking place. Because it's about you. And it's not. Let's go back to Matthew chapter 10. Verse 36, 37, 38, and 39. This is why I say never about you. Never about you. You just got to stay the course of your mission. He that loveth Father and me is not worthy of me. He that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy. He that taketh not his cross and to me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that lose his life for me shall find it. Heard in Matthew chapter 10, verse 38, it says, he that taketh not his cross. They say Jesus died on didn't die cross. He died on a tree or a stake. But the word cross means exposure to death, self-denial. That's what it's about. The word cross means self-denial, exposure to death. That's what it means. Putting you in a situation where your belief system is so great that you're willing to do whatever you got to do to live out your belief system. You got to do whatever it takes for your mission and your purpose. It says, he that loveth his father or mother more than me. Okay, let me go to Mark chapter 33. Chapter 3, verse 35. See, a lot of time, your blood ain't always your blood physically, but that may not be your blood spiritually. Mark chapter 3, verse 34 and 35. It reads, it says, and he looked round about on them which sat about him. Let me go to verse 30 so you can get, let me go to verse 32 so you can understand the context of Matthew chapter 10, verse. Okay, in Mark chapter 3, verse 32, said about Jesus, and they said to him, behold, thy mother and thy brother without seek for thee. Without seek for thee. So Jesus was having a conversation he was talking to the multitude of the people, and they was having a conversation. And they asked Jesus, who is thy mother and thy brother? Listen to this. And he answered them, and Jesus answered them, saying, who is my mother or my brother or brethren? And he looked round about on them which sat about him, and said, behold, my mother and my brother. For whosoever shall do the will of God, the same is my brother and my sister and mother. See, Jesus didn't say my blood is my blood. He didn't say his mother was his mother and his brother was his brother and his sister was his sister. He was talking about the people who was on the same mission as he was on, was his brothers and mothers and sisters. Not because in Proverbs verse 18, verse 24, he said, a man that has friends must show himself friendly. And there is a friend that, yeah. A man that has must show himself friendly. A man that has friends must show himself friendly. And there is a friend that's stricken closer than a brother. So what it's saying is that sometimes people who's not even in your own household will be closer to you than your own household would be. Because the house is divided right now. Because of infighting, because of whatever the case may be. But we got to stay on the course of whatever it is, whatever the most to do. Verse 38. We understand the cross is self-exposure, danger, an atonement. Stay one with the word. Verse 39. Now he that findeth his life shall lose it. professional or your career above your spiritual purpose, you're going to lose your life. You're going to lose your purpose in life. If you put your career over your spiritual purpose, you're going to lose your life. Then it says, and he that lose his life for my sake shall find it. Meaning that you will be more happy when you do your spiritual purpose than a physical purpose. And that's what I'm having internal battles with too. But let us go to John. Let us go to John chapter 19, verse 7. And I'm closing. Okay, this is when they was talking about Jesus, Yahshua. Verse 16 through 18, it says, and then deliver he him therefore unto them to be crucified. No matter what was going to happen to Yahshua or Jesus, the Christ, stayed on his mission. And he died doing his mission. It says, then delivered he him therefore unto them to be crucified. And they took Jesus and led him away. And he, bearing his expected death, went forth into a place called the of a skull, which is called the Hebrew Golgotha, where they crucified him and two others with him on either side, one and Jesus in the midst. See, Jesus stayed on his mission, and when he stayed on his mission, he understood he was going to lose his life. He was going to lose, kept the spiritual. Second Timothy 4, 6 and 8. It says, for I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. He said, I fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth, there is a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day. And not to make me only, but unto all them also that love his appearance. No matter what the cause is, because we have to understand, and I'm going to go through a couple of more and I'll be done. What I come to understand, and we have to look at Jesus' life in a totality, or as a whole, and how you have salvation. We have to understand that. See, on Jesus, it's just like, do y'all remember Dr. King's life and Malcolm's life? My great leaders of our time. The experiences that they went through before they died. All the experiences that they went through before they died. Because if you look at Marcus Garvey, the people in Marcus Garvey's own camp sold him out. That's why he was sent to Jamaica. His own camp sold him out. The people around Malcolm, Dr. King, people around Dr. King sold him out. Shaka Zulu brother sold him out. The same people who you there to help is the same people who are going to see you out. That's what we got to understand. Look at all the great. Who sold Jesus out? Judas. In your own house. People in your own fold. We got to look at the totality of the story. The reality. Let's go to Matthew chapter 20 verse 30. 30, 31, and 30 and 31. This is what it says, Matthew chapter 27, verse 30 and 31. And this is hard for me because
27 or 20?
Matthew chapter 27, 30. This is hard for me because it was never taught to me on how to be a man. Never taught to me because my father was never there. And it says, they spat upon him and took the reed and smote him on the head. And after that they had mocked him, took the robe off from him and put it on, and put his raiment on, and put his own raiment on him, and led him away to be crucified. Right before Jesus getting ready to go, they spit on him, they talked about him, but he still had to do the mission. They talked about him, right? They mocked him. They spit on him. They did all of that. They did everything. But he had to do what he was supposed to do. But in Matthew, this shows you, if he wanted to stop it, he could have. In Matthew chapter 20 and 26, 3, it said Jesus unto him, put up again thy sword into his place. For all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Listen to the abilities and the powers of Jesus the Christ, of Yahshua the HaMashiach. It says, thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then shall the scripture be fulfilled, that thus it must be? Yeah, man, if I could have stopped all this stuff from going on if I wanted to, but I didn't. I couldn't have. He said I could have sent 12 legions of angels, 12,000 angels down here to kill these folks off. But I didn't. Because he said scripture had to be fulfilled. He said, Peter, I didn't need you to pull your little ranky-dank sword out to cut one of the ears off when I could have got 12,000 angels down here to do the job for me. I don't need you to help me do my job. I don't need you to help me on my mission. But Jesus understood that he had to go through that whole process. He had to go through those responses from the people. He had to go through that mess. He had to go through the mocking. He had to go through the lack of trust. He had to go through people lying to him. Because he understood it was never about him in the first place. It was never, his mission was never about him. And that's the harder part about this stuff. Thinking it's about you. Oh, you hurt my feeling. Oh, you did this. And oh, you did that. And this. And oh, you did. No, man, get out of here. And that's this message is for me, because that's why I asked the therapist. Okay, what is the position? What's the responsibilities of a man? Because I'm taking things personal, but not understanding this all comes with being a man. This all comes with being a man. You're gonna have division in your house. How are you gonna handle that? Are you gonna stay the course, or are you gonna give up and throw in and say, man, forget it? All comes with it, because it ain't about you, because you're gonna be an example to other people on how to endure things in life. You've been an example to your children. You've been an example to somebody who's looking at you and they don't, and you don't even know it. You're an example to people. Let's go to Matthew chapter 8. Salvation comes when you can understand that they're gonna spit on you, talk about you, they're gonna mock you. Matthew chapter 8, verse 34. And it says, behold, the whole city came out to meet, and when they saw him, they besought him that he would depart out of their coast. Salvation comes when you understand that people ain't gonna want you around them. They mocked Jesus. They mocked him. They spit on him. They kicked him out. Kicked him out of his own city. But he couldn't stop the mission. That's when you kind of realize your salvation comes. Doing what you gotta do. Let's go to Luke chapter 9, verse 23. I'm gonna read verse 22 and 23. It says, saying the Son of Man must suffer many things. Listen, that replace the Son with your name in the midst of it. If you're going to say you're going to be a true believer, a follower of Yeshua the HaMashiach, or Yahweh, replace your name with the Son of Man. The Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected, be kicked away, rejected of the elders and the chief priests and the scribes, and to be slain and be raised the third day. Listen to this one. And he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself. Because understand it ain't about you. Deny himself and take up his cross, exposure to death daily, and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. If you think you're going to protect your life by not following me, you're going to lose your life. But whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall be saved. Stephen was stoned to death because he was preaching the word. King was stoned. Malcolm was stoned, shot. Yeah, because they were preaching the word. How many people do you know who's really truly doing the mission of the Most High have been killed for? How many people you know that's really trying to do the right thing have been persecuted for doing the right thing? How many people you know? How many people you know who doing the wrong thing and been persecuted? Ain't nobody going. If you ain't going through nothing, you ain't nothing. If you live in that la-la land and you're not suffering spiritually, you ain't doing nothing. You're in a safe place. You're not putting yourself, you're not exposing yourself to the crowd. Even if you're not telling people the truth, you're not exposing yourself to persecution. You got some people out there doing things they know they shouldn't be doing, but are you telling them, or are you saying, okay, girl, or boy, you going to do it? But when you open yourself up to expose yourself to conflicts and suffering, that's when you're doing the right thing. Because everybody love a lie. People 500 pounds want to be told they look good. They want on when they know they need to do something about themselves. People wearing their clothes all hanging down off their butt, thinking they doing good, when they look like an ignorant child. Women wearing clothes they know they shouldn't be wearing, but thinking they looking good, but they looking like a HOE. But ain't nobody telling them because they don't go through the persecutions. Matthew chapter 24, 16. Your salvation truly, truly come. Your salvation truly, truly come. He said, then said Jesus unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, you want to be righteous, you want salvation, you want to be complete and whole, you really want to truly follow the word. If any man will come after me, let him deny himself. You got to deny everything about you. Let you go, because you in the way. You are the problem. I remember I telling my son one day, if you want me and your relationship to get better, you get better. If you want me and your relationship to get better, you get better. Then when you get better, we'll be better. That's what the Most High is telling you. If you want something to be fixed, fix yourself first. Deny yourself of whatever it is. And take up his cross and follow me. Take up your issues that you got within yourself. You want to be better, you want salvation, you want completeness, you want wholeness. You got to be spit on, you got to be mocked, you got to be kicked out of the places where you thought you wanted to be, and you got to go through self-denial. You got to be self-denial. You got to understand, it's never about me, it's about you. What you want, how you want it, where you want it, tell me. He said, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, his problem, his issue within itself, and follow me. The word narcissism. Narcissism is a self-centered personality style characterized as having a personal appearance or one image or an excessive preoccupation with one's own needs, often at the expense of others. The reason why we got so many problems today and people thinking it's about them and not about other people is because most people are narcissists. This society has created a lot of narcissists. 50% of the people on the earth today are narcissists. A narcissist is a self-centered personality trait or style as having excessive interest in one's physical appearance or image and an excessive preoccupation with one's own needs, often at the expense of others. It's saying that people ain't going to care about themselves. And when you look at most relationships, whatever it may be, people want the limelight. Imagine if Jesus narcissist and said, I'm not coming out for none of y'all. I'm doing this for myself. I want to be prayed. I want to be worshiped. I want to serve me. Suppose he was a narcissist. The text wouldn't even be the way it is. The lifestyle should Yahshua HaMashiach or Jesus of a narcissist. It was an opposite of the people traits today. Most people today would look at Jesus as a person that's too nice. They would call him stupid because the things that he want to try to do for people, even though he see they're not even worthy of it, but he still deal with them anyway because he understand the impact of their life. He understand where they at. He understands everything about them. Opposite of a narcissist. But people think where they are is righteous, but it's not. They're self-absorbed people. But imagine if Jesus was that way. He would have been praised by the world. He would have been welcomed by the world into everybody's household. He would have been worshipped. He would have been selfish. But you can't have salvation in this spiritual realm and think that you can be. Okay. And I got my answer. It's a hard answer. How a man supposed to be? You understand? It ain't never about him. Your journey ain't never about you. Even though you ain't gonna get the praise at the end, even though you're gonna be mocked, even though you're gonna be spit on, even though you're gonna be talked about, even though you're gonna be kicked out, man, you still gotta do what you gotta do. Because at the end of the day, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Ain't nobody gonna like you. Ain't nobody gonna be around you because you gotta make tough decisions. And ain't nobody gonna like the decisions you make, but the Most High gave you the gift. He didn't give them. He gave you the vision. He didn't give it to them. So you just got to stay on your journey. You got to stay on your mission, regardless of the responses that you get. So let me pray so you can go. Thank you for listening. Thank you for what you're doing. If anybody want to donate, I got a Cash App, $orlandofraley. If you want to Cash App me, $orlandofraley. But if not, give it to a homeless person or less fortunate person. As we come to you today, we thank you, praise you, we give you all the honor and the glory. Abba, we thank you for everything you have done, what you continue to do. We just ask that you continue to let your will be done. Abba, we ask that you continue to let us see the way you want us to see, the way you want us to hear, and speak the way you want us to speak. Abba, we understand that the society is through a total collapse of everything. We understand that Babylon is getting judged. We understand those things, but we ask that you protect your servants, your people in the midst of this chaos. We understand we got to endure to the end, but we ask that you give us the knowledge and the strength to endure. We ask that you continue to help us go in this journey. Let us continue to fight the way you want us to fight and be the way you want us to be. But this journey is not easy. We're in the flesh. We're finite creatures. It's difficult to be able to speak the truth to people who don't want to hear the truth. It's difficult to tell people the truth because of people, first thing they're going to say, you don't have the right to judge me. And when they don't even understand the word judge, you just pulling their coat. We just trying to pull their coattail because they misunderstand the word judge. But they mishold. They miss the meaning of the statement. But Abba, give us the strength to do your will. No, we don't like going through persecution, but we understand we got to go through it. No, we don't want to do those things that we got to do, but we know we got to do them. Is it difficult? Yes, it's difficult. Is it hard? Yes, because we wrestling in the flesh. We want still people to like us. We still want people to approve us because we're in this flesh. But we know we got to do what you call us to do, though. We just ask that you keep us on this road and this journey. Let us be able to do your will and your purpose. Just continue to protect us as we travel these highways and byways. Forgive us for the sins that we have committed knowingly, and forgive our forefathers, our sisters, our brothers, our aunts, our relatives for the sins they have committed. But let us walk in the spirit and not in the flesh. And all these things we pray in your higher name, so let it be. Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Just because the chosen of our Father, but do you understand the things that matter? I see some brothers twisting scriptures while abusing our sisters. Explain to me how this is love. They worship things like fringes and idolize their leaders. They're counted as the sheep for the slaughter.